Steve Finneran's not here tonight, so it's Chris and myself, and Michael. Make a motion to call this to order. Approval of the agenda, Chris,
Motion to approve the agenda.
as maybe amended. Number 6, Board of Liquor Control. Steve is not here,
So we couldn't act on anything.
so we couldn't act on that.
Yep.
We need to schedule our next meeting.
And we need to, but
Need to what?
Schedule our next meeting. I think it
yeah, we
falls
can
on,
we could do that on the other business.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
do that towards the end.
Okay, so, accept the motion to accept the agenda with the Board of Liquor Control removed. All in favor, aye. Approval of the minutes. Monday, 27th, at 3 PM. I didn't see anything there.
Yep.
All in favor, aye. That was the only minutes right now.
Just that one.
Yep. Select board member feedback and concerns.
I don't have anything at this point.
No.
Oh, I will say 2 things. I think the signs, electronic signs look very good, and town manager's doing a good job with his updating, nothing's
Yeah.
old, so comment on that. So I think things look really good there.
Yep, it does.
Thanks.
That's it.
Justin's here in the public, but Justin is with Great Life Golf. And we've got Kurt. You're the only, Eli wants to get in.
Nope.
Connecting to the audio. There he is. Okay, so there's nobody here in person as public. Is there anybody that has something that they don't see on the agenda? Eli or Kurt?
Nope. No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Board of Liquor Control, like we said, was going to be, there's only one. Steve is not here. So the resolution to submit the VOREC grant, why don't you take it from there, Michael?
Actually, it's just as simple as that. The town wants to submit a VOREC grant for some trail work over by the Sure Burners. And we just need a resolution from the board to submit that. I believe it's 80% match.
And this is through the RAC again?
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion for resolution to submit the VOREC grant for the, is it bike trails?
It's not in addition to the trails, it is stream crossings.
Okay.
So I can give you, Lisa Davis Lewis gave a pretty detailed explanation for what exactly the grant was. Grant would solely be for stream crossings so that we can connect the Gifford trails to the Sherburne trails and the Sherburne trailhead, which includes parking. This would allow for us to have a crossing in safe locations as opposed to the unsafe and unsanctioned crossing that people are using today.
So I have a motion to do the resolution to submit the VOREC grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 8 or number 7, TAC appointment. That's so those that don't know, it's transit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have put acronyms on there. It's a bad habit. It's a traffic advisory committee
Okay.
through the Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
And Robert Hecker is one of our
Yep.
planning commissioners.
Good guy.
Yep. I'll
So-
make a motion to
I would second that.
appoint Robert Hecker to the TAC. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great Life Golf Budget and Contract Review. We have Justin here, and we have, I thought I saw someone from Green Mountain.
I'm here, Jim.
How you doing there?
Hey,
David.
Jim. Hey, Michael. Hey, Chris.
Hey, David.
Okay. So you want to go through the budget first? I mean, instead of getting into a contract?
Sure.
You want to step up here, Justin? Yeah, come on up. You can
Hey,
put it.
Justin.
David, how are you?
Good.
You guys just want to run through it from last year to this year, to the next coming year?
Yeah, so we put this together. This is obviously for the fiscal year, so it'd be July 24 to June 25. So it's preliminary, but we put it together early because our renewal matures April 30, 2024. So we put together, would be a second amendment because we had a first amendment 3 years ago. So this is a projection of what would be, again, fiscal year starting in July 24. We had a good 2023, about 1.41 in total revs. We're projecting 1.43 in this budget. I don't know if you want to go line by line, but from an EBITDA standpoint, we're projecting $273,000. If we look at last 12 months, we're right around 225,000. The New England area had a really good year for golf. Rounds were up 7.3%. Temp was up 2.9%. Precipitation was down 24%. So we want to be just a little cautious next year because I definitely think we're going to see a little regression with precipitation up and down the East Coast. I still think the product is excellent from a conditioning standpoint and we can raise pricing. David, what do you think from a pricing standpoint from an increase? Do you think 6% next year?
Yes, I will be submitting, it's a little backwards if you excuse my phrase. I have a pricing proposal to go to the Selectboard and for approval, and that's what this pricing, what you're seeing here in revenues for both green fees and membership pass holder fees. That price increase is around 6%.
Yeah.
So could you repeat that again, precipitation?
Yeah, so total rainfall was down 24%,
Wow.
which is obviously...
Which is really weird because, as everyone that's
In the beginning.
knows, July and August was a swamp. But up until that point, June and July was wet. Up until the end of May, we were almost in drought conditions. So overall, I don't disagree with those figures, but during the bulk of our season, June and July, it was extremely wet. And as I mentioned in my yearly report, which is also to be submitted to the board, we had about 45 days out of it that were rain affected during a 60-day period. So overall, precipitation was down, but intensely June and July was extremely wet.
And in terms of the other area golf courses, you know, they're closer to us, do you have any numbers on that? Or
How they
you had
performed?
just statewide.
That's for the New England area, so that's, I think...
Anything for Vermont in itself?
No, no, I don't have Vermont in itself, just the New
Okay.
England. They group everything by
Regions.
kind of contiguous regions, yeah.
Okay.
But from a cash standpoint, if you look at net cash, so obviously we have interest on leased equipment, and then we have capital schedule. So we'll have to iron out the capital schedule if and what we want to spend. We just earmarked 3% of total revenues is kind of what we do at our other courses. Now what we want to spend on, if we want to spend that, we'll have to put a proposal together. But again, this is so far in the future that we don't have. I know we have the roof, obviously the maintenance building to be considered. We also have additional utility carts that we submitted for consideration last month as well. But we own the cart fleet at this point. So all that interest on the CapEx is just equipment to take care of the golf course at this point.
Are we caught up on our capital purchases that we had already, no?
Not fully, I don't believe.
Right.
I was looking in the capital schedule here and didn't see anything.
Yeah, again, it's just earmarking 3% for proposals. I know we have the roof to do on the clubhouse, potential improvements to the course maintenance barn. But those would probably have to be outside of a capital proposal because they're going to be larger expenditures.
Capitalize a roof. Yeah.
Yeah. We capitalize pretty much anything over 3,000 that we can improves the asset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same accountant too. But, so I believe in our budget, Mark started last year, David, doing 3% of revenues into capital. Isn't that right?
Correct, yes.
That was underneath the golf course. That's on the golf course itself. So they were taking 3%,
Okay.
which matches up to what you're saying anyway. I mean, how much is in capital right now anyway? We've been putting money into and the town has been, I think it was like 1% a couple of years ago. And then Mark had suggested 3%, and we went with it. But I know we've been also putting, in the past, the town has been putting 100K in the past, but it's like, it's not getting spent because there's no deliveries or anything. So how much is in capital right now? A restricted capital fund?
I might be able to pull up, it might be in
Budget.
Lucretia's,
Yeah. I thought I just saw
report.
it before. It looked like treasurer's report.
yeah.
It was in the last month's meeting, or last week, whatever.
Yeah.
That last meeting we had.
And,
Worcester, yeah. So I don't think it's in this, is it? It's in this, that's the towns. Let's go to her golf one or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's on one page. It's not on that one.
does she have a
It's on the
golf
other-
one?
Yeah.
Oh, there it
restricted
is.
golf
Now I
right
didn't
there.
scroll down far
Yeah,
enough.
Yeah. So there's currently
195.
195,195 in there. So. And then you're saying 1,000,004?
In total revs?
Yeah. We're talking 3% of that.
Mhm.
So you'll have like over 230 or whatever in there at that time. Do we have any idea what the roof is gonna cost?
David, did you get a quote on the roof?
I have not, I would have to check with Robert, the golf course superintendent. He's been frontline on that, seeing he's obviously on property.
I've actually got a few quotes here.
I think I got a
It has been
quote
some
4
come
years
through.
ago.
We did
Yeah,
that, we spoke about it last
you-
year.
Yeah, and
And I
then,
know Peter Bissell has also been working closely on that also.
yeah, Peter was putting the bids together for me. He's gotten them, but he was ill last week and,
Oh, really? Okay.
what are they called? Facility? Sorry, guys, I know I'm all over the place
That's okay.
here. So some of the quotes were really kind of funky. There you go. I don't want to show who the vendor is or give away too much information here, but you're looking around 160, I think.
I will look at that. Didn't we just do the pro shop roof?
Yes, the clubhouse is, that was completed, I want to say,
Two?
two years ago?
Couple years ago.
Yeah, that was nowhere near 165, right?
No, that was in the mid-40s, I want to say.
Yeah,
What they
yeah.
want to do, though, I think that they were worried about more, there was some ice damming issues that were going on.
Yeah, so it was more than just the roof.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
they were trying to heat a space that was not designed.
Yeah, sort of like what we did at the school,
Mhm.
so,
What we did, yeah, the library and all of them.
yeah. All right, well, we'll go into that in executive or whatever, since it's gonna pop up names.
Well,
everything.
and when he has the quotes ready, I can get
Yeah,
them to
that's
you.
what I mean, when it's,
Yeah.
so. Want to keep going from there, Justin?
Has there been any discussion about the utility carts that I sent last month? Michael?
I believe that we had it in front of us, and there was a lease, and then there was a purchase or whatever.
Well, it was all a lease because we have 2 loaners that are going away next year. So it was for 3, I think it was 3 or 4 units. 2 we absolutely need to be able to get around the golf course.
Where were we getting loaners from?
We had the loaners through the lease, but those are getting picked up since the golf cart lease matured and we own the.
So when
own
we
the
took
carts.
over, when we leased all of them, they gave us 2 utilities or whatever,
Okay.
in on the deal or whatever. I don't
So
think
then
it
it's
was, I
something
don't,
we need to react
we just have to sit down. I mean, this meeting's gonna go kind of quick, and then we get into contracts and whatever, and,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we talked.
Yeah. okay. Just right now is going through the budget or whatever. I mean, food and beverage, you know, what do you have showing there going, or?
Yeah, so we did about 215,000 total last 12 months. We have that projected at 230, just tied to, I mean, most of the food and beverage is tied directly to the play on the golf course. So we have that just aligned with the growth of the rest of the rounds that we have projected. Greens fees is the big jump. We did 687,000 last 12 months. We're looking at 745,000 with the price increase, if approved. Merch is pretty flat from a merchandise standpoint. Might have some room to increase that. The biggest piece of this budget that we have to dig into is really the expense side, which I think is in line, but I need to work more with Michael and the town now that Mark has left, and there's a little bit of gap from a finance standpoint to understand exactly what interest we're paying on, current leases from a capital standpoint, and just kind of dig in more to last 12 months of invoices. We have a good number based on historicals, but firming up the projection. So that's why this is a preliminary budget, and we'll continue to work on this up until, look to get it approved and finalized by March in preparation for the fiscal year.
And you say you feel the greens fees are aggressive?
I don't think they're
they're
aggressive.
not?
I think they're fair.
Okay.
Yeah, for the product, and this is obviously a destination area. People are gonna pay more for destination golf.
Just our closest competition is down in Ludlow, the old Aquino Golf Course,
Yep.
which is Foxfire. They were 160 per player last season, and I would expect them to be using again. My green fee, default might be working. Last year was 149, and then our other rates will break down from there. So we're still well under what our competition is. And if you go down even further, I mean, Stratton isn't really a competitor of ours. They were charging the same as we were last year, and Sugarbush, just a little up 100, they were also charging the same or slightly more than we were last year. So I think we've positioned ourselves pretty uniquely in that we can raise our pricing based on course conditions and the need, which has really stayed about the same, while keeping it under our local competition, which I think is a pretty good plan moving forward.
Is there a capital equipment plan, or?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's me. I was asking Justin if there's like a capital equipment plan floating out there, or rolling stock plan, I guess.
I do have a capital equipment plan. I don't have it with me
Okay.
at this point.
But-
One thing that we haven't done with this budget is all our budgets have to get approved by the Director of Agronomy, Aaron. He has not approved this yet, so he has the formal equipment plan. He won't be able to get to this particular budget until January,
Okay.
so just keep that in mind.
What part of January?
Probably the first 2 weeks, he said.
we have to have to a town vote, and we have to have it by the third week of January?
Do we put it in the town report?
Yeah.
Pretty soon then.
This full budget by the third week?
When is the
I'm
deadline?
waiting on a schedule. I met with the annual report rep last week. I'm waiting for a schedule, so I can send that, to let you know when I need it by.
Well, if we have to expedite it.
Okay.
It's like, what, 5 Tuesdays from the voting, or 6?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's some rule.
Yeah, I always
Well, I
like,
think it's like
end by
towards the end of
December.
Get on
January.
the date and just.
Yeah, so.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's been going on, David, when we've been doing the capital or whatever. I mean, when we would come into these meetings and, you know, there were like crazy interest rates that.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't
know,
get anything
leases or
either.
Whatever. You
Yeah.
couldn't get anything.
Couldn't get
So
any
just,
equipment.
You know, has that changed?
It has, yeah, it's better. Well, supply's better. Interest rates are not great, not that much better, but the supply at least. But we're still putting proposals in 12 months before, you know, so.
I mean, I don't have any questions, and we're gonna get a more
Either.
detailed whatever, and it's a work in progress right now.
Yep.
And if anyone, you know, has any questions about the details.
Well, the season passes, David, let's just try to get it out, the pricing, so we don't, you know, what they're gonna, for the locals especially. They
I
let-
will, I can send Michael that tomorrow.
Okay,
When do those go out to sale?
Well, we-
They
Season
don't go,
passes.
they don't go, up. We don't sell anything until March.
Okay.
well, I mean, whatever price is going to be, then the board approves the pricing, so. But remember, well, no, you weren't here last year, so, you know, certain people didn't know what the prices was, and,
Oh.
you know, and then they made it sound like it was a big, but it wasn't really, and it wasn't really, it was like a $50 increase in you know, it wasn't big, but it seemed like it was big, people, whatever, so.
Yeah, and I'm just,
Yeah, I can have that to Michael tomorrow. That'll be green fees and season pass pricing.
Okay.
Okay.
cool.
We talk about the proposal for the Second Amendment on the management agreement.
That's gonna be a contract, so we're just gonna get through this and then we'll go.
Oh, that's executive session, gotcha. Okay.
So, does anybody have any questions, Eli or Kurt? Emily is our Emily, right?
Yeah, that's our Emily. Yeah, Justin,
Oh, Eli's got something.
No, I just had no questions, thanks.
Okay,
yeah, Justin, I'm just kind of now getting my feet under me, and when we got here, there was a big, it seemed like a big rush on purchasing capital that had been sitting on the shelf for quite a while, and then we had the lease for the golf cart, so it was kind of a lot to put together really fast. So I think it will be helpful, you and I can sit down, we put together a capital plan. Because even with the carts that you sent me, it just flies over my head, because it's like,
The good news is there's not an absolute pressing need for anything outside those utility cards. So
Oh,
we can
okay.
check that off, we can check that off the list
and
first.
we saw that when we made the visit last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spoke of it, yep.
yeah.
okay.
Do we know if we got rid of the old stuff that was hanging around on the back, the old utility carts that don't
We said too.
move? Even if it meant just dumping them?
There is, I believe, again, without checking with Conan or Comet, the significant boneyard still there, which that was one of the priorities this off-season was to get rid of that. I know we did sell the old dump truck, so that was that's gone, I believe. I know it's
Okay.
gone because it's not there anymore. So working
Okay.
through that type of equipment, which is no longer useful, is continuing.
Okay, because if we're looking to get a new roof, then you're gonna wanna have crap out of the building. Move it around.
Guys, we're working with an auction company now to offload some stuff. We've got we've got things that WIT has back there confiscated that we've been given the green light to get rid of. We're selling a truck, so if you've got anything like that, just let me know, and I can have somebody come up there and take pictures, and maybe we can offload it.
Perfect.
And so we're gonna, after this, we'll go into executive session.
Yep.
Plowing contract for the post office. It's pretty set.
That's included in your packets, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not a big amount, something I could have probably approved, but since it's a new expense, I thought it would be more appropriate to go through the board. Plowing that driveway is just another thing that our guys have to do, and Charlie has been doing it for a long time, and he also can help Peter shovel it.
This is just
So-
something, we've bought a building, it's a new town office. There's the post office there, it's a federal thing, they're leased from us, and they have to have the place ready by 5 in the morning, and our guys need to get the rest of the town ready by 5 in the morning.
We're just not set up for it.
So it's like $125 for a plowing service. That's a pretty big place there, so $125 for sanding. Ricky is gonna let them know if they need the sand or he can get to it. And then the same with salting, $155, and shoveling of walkways is $55 to shovel the walkway. And the only thing that I had in here that I looked at and I just saw it underneath 3, the service. Let's just add in, make sure that the shoveling has got driveways and parking lots, and
Do you know that he carries proper insurance? There's nothing in there about insurance.
yeah, so, and then he'll have to give us the insurance or
Sure.
whatever.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
So, but just, let's make sure that underneath 3, the service includes the sanding and the salting, as needed or whatever, okay?
Got it.
I think it goes on here, it says it's in here, and it also says, but, it goes on to that, but I just don't, now I'm going through it, and I don't see any shoveling. But I see it in the pricing,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah.
So, you don't need any approval for this, just thank you for letting us know.
Yep.
Okay. Fiscal year 2025 budget review.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing my golf screen here. Justin, thanks for the help.
You not stay back. Nobody else is gonna kick you out.
We close a few screens here. So Lucretia couldn't be here tonight. She's on vacation. I did have a meeting with her regarding her budget. Let me share my screen. Quit talking, trying to do too many things at once. All right. So, I mean, whether you know it or not, we've actually done a pretty good job of going through here and picking through it the last couple of meetings. And then getting feedback, talking to you all, going back to department heads, coming back here. And this, what I hope is close to being the final. I've gone ahead and marked the changes that are pretty large in different colors. So green represents a pretty significant cut here. So in your bookkeeping and secretarial, we cut 53,100 because we got rid of a position. And the thing about the town clerk and treasurer's budget is that she is asking for 3% increases in staff wages, but the thing is Lucretia is retiring halfway through FY '25, which means you won't have one person serving the role anymore. You'll have a clerk and a treasurer, so that's 2 positions. And then I spoke to her about them 2 just having 1 assistant.
Well, we don't know that.
No, you don't.
No, we don't, it's a vote.
Well,
And
it
one
would
person,
be,
and one person could be elected for treasurer and also for the town clerk,
yeah.
and we don't get to say what they're,
Well, the board would have to appoint, because she'd be stopping halfway through the year, so it would be an open, so it'd be an
okay.
open
But
position
rest
for
of
the
it,
board
you
to
don't-
appoint.
You don't know, or
No,
whatever.
no.
What is the increase in salary for everybody else in town?
3% is what, is
Okay,
what's
as long
being
as
requested
it's,
here.
as long as that's what you're proposing across the board,
Mhm.
then, okay, let's move on.
Okay. And then Emily's here to speak about the rec budget. Her and I have met quite a few times on this because the Parks and Rec budget is not extremely large in number, but does have a lot of different events and a lot of different line items and a lot of revenue. So if there were no big increases in this other than 4th of July, there was a lot of propane that was used to heat the pool in FY '23, which we tried to get her, myself, and Steve, how do you pronounce Steve's last name? Nissenblatt? Nissenblatt met and spoke, so. So Emily's here online. If you have any questions about her budget, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them. We did include a line item for the skating rink.
Do we know what's going on with the propane, Emily?
I don't, I know, 2 fiscal years ago, before I was here with Sarah, that was a cooler winter, and we had a cold start. So to get the pool heated for the, elementary school field day, I'm assuming that took a lot of propane to get that up and running. This year, for the most part, we had a warm start to winter, so to get that up and running, we didn't need to use as much propane. And then, once the pool was heated, it pretty much held its temperature, so we didn't have to use as much this year. But in talking with Steve and Michael, we weren't sure. 2 years ago was before you negotiated the propane price, Jim.
Right,
So we're
okay.
not sure if that'll go down again now that we have a different supplier for that.
Yeah, last year we were $1.69, this year $1.59.
Should look at the gallonage we used. Someone just have to go back. And
Yeah, because it doesn't
state.
matter how much the price is, it's, that's why I was like, do we know how many gallons we used from one year to the next? Was it,
Yeah. in
Or
the
was
month,
it ju-
just by the month?
or was it just the,
Down.
yeah, it was just the cost?
I'm just worried that if our tank, it doesn't have an issue because we have the one.
Well, that, so you're saying 2 years ago, and that's funny because now that you just said that, when Irving, who is our new supplier, came in and started looking at some, there were certain tanks that were leaking,
Leaky. Yeah.
you know, behind the,
Oh, really?
behind the town garage.
Yeah,
There was,
library, too.
the library, I
Yeah.
think, was leaking. So, you know, there's new tanks put in from this newer company. And maybe you had the same problem there or whatever, but
Mhm.
let's just see if we can see what the difference is of gallon usage from one year to the next year.
Yeah, I can look into that. Maybe we can lower
Can
it.
we look at, I'd like to look at summer stuff, camps,
Okay.
and what we're thinking there, and in terms of labor.
Let me see, I'll pull it up here. So what summer events are we
Would be
holding?
underneath the revenue. Oh, I like the BASDAP right there, yeah. So you got the swim lessons, little basketball, soccer, loads camp.
Mhm.
There's the camps, loads of fun, Chris. So it looks like they're upping the FY '25
The income
budget on the
coming in
low.
is at the
loads.
higher.
Well, you
Yeah,
did
yeah.
pretty good in FY '23, it was 70,558, which was about 20,000
Yeah.
more than was budgeted for.
Yeah, to where we, and this is what I don't like, so now we're in FY '24, but we don't really know what we we don't have where we stood in July and August, September, you know, that was the summer.
The reason I kind of come back on that a lot is the biggest, comments that are made to me from parents is, A, getting their kids in, okay? And then also the number of counselors that are, we're budgeted to have, because, we have to have certain ratios or whatever. And, let's just, our camps are popular.
Yeah.
And so I just want to, make sure that we're sufficiently, there's money budgeted to help that.
What's the counselor's account? Again, Emily, is that under expenses for, that was like 46,453?
Yeah, so where you have your cursor is, so 52-110-06. And then 52-110-07. Last year, I used both of those accounts to charge back counselor time.
Okay.
Camp Rec and Trek is left over from pre-COVID when they had the camp that would travel around the state. And then the past 2 years, we've done Green Mountain Movers. So that did a couple different activities and the typical Loads of Fun camp. This upcoming year, I would like to do kind of like a hybrid approach where they're not doing day trips every day, but partnering with local businesses like Appalachian Trail Adventures or like Steve Lulick and the Rock Gym down in Rutland, where they would kind of have like week-long experiences to build those different skills. So last year we spent 45 plus 8, so like 53,000 on camp or on counselors between the two camps.
Okay.
And still having 2 weeks of camp going into the first 2 weeks of camp next summer will be billed back to the fiscal year, the current budget, fiscal year 24 or 23.
And were our camps sold out this year?
Yeah, and we had a wait list. We were able to get through about 3/4 of the wait list this year. The biggest group that had issues getting kids in were the youngest group of 4 to 6 year olds. We still took about 20 each week, but there was just a lot of demand for that age group.
And
So I'm hoping.
And what could we do to service that group better? Would it
So that's
require more counselors?
More space. We had, each week, we had about 60 kids registered for camp. Granted, really only about 45 to 50 showed up on a daily basis. We had a lot of people sign up for camp, pay for their entire session, and then based on other schedules, other activities, whatnot, campers didn't show up every day. So we wound up towards the end of summer when we started to realize trends in people's schedules, we would add in more kids that would technically put us over ratio, but we were never actually over that ratio based on individual schedules. But that's what I'm hoping by bringing back some form of rec and trek to get those older kids that are ages 10 through 13, get them out of the rec center more, and then that would give us about 10 or 12 more spots for younger kids to open up and still have that 50 to 60 number in the rec center each day. And then we would have an additional 12 to 13 off-site.
So when you say space, are you talking space as far as counselors or space as far as space, like an area?
Area space, so the bathroom at the pool center, like using those facilities, to have 60 kids using 4 bathroom stalls created quite the mess within there. And then just the indoor space to have like last summer in the event of inclement weather, we were able to use the elementary school due to anytime it rained, they were spraying insulation within the roof. So we were resorted to using, more times than not, we were using the library meeting room for about 50 kids, which was quite, they didn't say it was a burden, but it was quite a burden placed on the library.
So hopefully with the move over to town hall, if we can get it in, then that will open up a big space downstairs and part of upstairs for you.
Yeah, once we have the current town office, if we can open up that entire first floor, get rid of my office, get rid of the lister's office, essentially turn that into one big open space, we could definitely expand. I would say we could do at least a 10% increase in campers and take on an additional 12 to 13 kids easily.
So where is
And
the,
then-
go ahead, Emily.
And then with that, it's just, we had a really good group of kids this year. Of counselors this year, and a lot of interest. So I'm hoping that we are able to keep, a lot of them are pretty young, still in high school, so hoping to keep them for a few more years, and then having to just supplement maybe like 4 or 5 counselors. Our staff this year was probably about 20% returners and 80% new staff. So I'm hoping next year to have at least a 60% returning staff, just based on who we had last year.
And the pay that we're giving them to come back?
The junior counselors, so anyone who was under 18, they were getting $14 an hour. So built into this budget is a 3% increase for counselors. So that would give them roughly a 25-cent raise. And then our older counselors were making $16.50. So at that 3% raise, just making it an even 25 cents extra an hour as an incentive to return.
How do we see that against the resort?
I'm not sure what resort starting wage is, but the age requirement for the resort is 16 for their positions. So there's a handful of counselors that at this point just aren't old enough to work at the resort. So by the time that they would turn 16, if they continue with that 20 to 25 cent raise each year returning, by the time they'd be old enough to work at the resort, if their starting wage is 15, they would get the similar wage with us.
Okay. Now, your biggest, the biggest, I'm going to say complaint was the bathrooms. Is that true last year? Or the last 2 years?
More internally, that space just like isn't ideal for when you're trying to change, especially with the little guys, when you're trying to get the campers that are ages 4 through 6, when you're trying to change 20 of them at a time, 10 boys, 10 girls, for instance, the space is too small, it's gross, the floor gets all wet. It's just not ideal for that, so they tried to do it in smaller increments. But then at the same time, you have the general public trying to use the pool house as well, and then with how in demand pickleball's been, they've been using the pool house, so it was more so an internal complaint. On our end of camp survey, a couple parents mentioned that it needs to be updated, which we know in a couple years it will be. But mainly just from counselors and stuff, it was how to make it better.
Which just brings me back to that we put $75,000 a year into it's not a pool fund, it's the recreation. And I think I sat in a meeting or whatever and kind of said, let's try to see what it would cost. What's your buddy's name? No. Ara. Was looking at maybe possibly like a modular type restroom or something. We don't have to wait to do a whole new swimming
point.
pool. And it's not gonna get done now this year, but maybe it's something we should start looking at since it's, we can work that in on.
One, we're working on we're gonna be working on the rec master
Right,
plan.
yeah. But what I'm saying
Yeah, I think
is
we can work
let's,
on that I mean,
yeah,
we should get going on that master plan
Yeah.
sooner or later, but also, I think we have a more immediate need of, like, we don't want to turn, regular people who are using the pool off, okay, because it's overrun with kids. And maybe we can, set up something differently for.
yeah, like, let's look into
Yeah.
a nicer porta potty
nice
thing.
porta potties
Yeah.
that actually
And we could
work.
set it up like a trailer type
Yeah.
thing or whatever and rent it for the season. Take it out of the capital, whatever, the reserve.
Mhm.
Let's just see what it
And that
costs.
was a question that came up in a rec commission meeting. For finishing out this budget cycle, we still have close to the $10,000 in our new project line item expenditures. And that was a question that the rec commission had asked, since we do not plan on having any major new projects this year, if that money could be used towards renting the modular bathrooms, or if there's upgrades that could be done within the pool house. When I've mentioned it before, from what I've heard, that upgrades in the pool house aren't worth it, just given.
So let's not, it's a complaint. Let's get somebody, find out what can work for 10 grand. And if it's a little bit more than that, we can take a look at the capital reserve fund. I don't really like saying, let's keep on, we're gonna be redoing the pool area in 5 years. So, if you're getting those comments, then let's see what we can do to slow down some of those comments.
Even post-COVID,
Yeah.
it's still a hotbed of activity down
Yeah.
there, and it's,
Yeah.
people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think we should really need to look at it to make sure that
Yeah.
the residents of the town have the ability to use a facility that they like.
Yeah. I mean, you could even get like one of those nicer porta whatever and have it for certain group, whatever.
That's what I was gonna ask. Emily,
Yeah.
do you think you'd have to have it sitting down there all summer, or are there busier times when you deploy the mobile bathrooms?
I would say, like, if we could do June 1st through September 1st, mainly because the traffic on River Road, between pickleball, the amount of walkers, people just coming down to use the fields, birthday parties that are taking place at the pavilion. Those are all people that are looking to use facilities. And the pool closes pretty early, mainly due to staffing. Like, we close before Labor Day typically, but every weekend in September, we had birthday parties or family gatherings at the pavilion. And what would wind up happening was Griffin would run over, open the bathrooms to the pool, like secretly for those people to use them, and then lock them up afterwards. So like if we had facilities that were available to the general public from June 1st to September 1st, I think they would definitely get utilized.
I think you got a few board members that wouldn't mind going out and trying to do a little homework on finding out pricing or, on it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, do you think we could come to the next rec committee meeting with some pricing?
Yeah, we bumped our meeting back. It'll probably conflict with the typical select board meeting. We bumped it back to January 8th due to New Year's being on January 1st, but,
Okay.
if
Well, we haven't-
somebody's able to.
yeah, we haven't set our meeting yet, so we'll make sure that we don't do January 8th.
Okay.
It'd be good to meet with them.
Yeah.
I think it would be really good.
So.
And, maybe, even though it's a tough time of year, but maybe just a quick walk through the facility by us at the same time period.
Yeah.
Just to look at, even though I know it's all shut down, but just look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That'd be great. The only other one that I would bring up, Emily, that has been voiced to me a couple times is making sure that actual residents of the town are able to have the ability to register their kids prior to outside people.
Yeah, we did that this year. We opened, this past year for registration, we opened registration for residents, and then I consider KES students, residents, even if they live in Pittsfield, because those are the ones that need the program as well.
Yep.
And then anyone that is a KPAA business member, so that includes resort employees, all of your employees, Chris, like pretty much local business employees. We opened registration for them on a Wednesday, and then everyone else opened the following Monday, I think, or it could have been Wednesday and Friday. So we plan on doing that again this year.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Em.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
So if we just kind of scroll through the budget, waste disposal is going up a bit because of that new Casella contract. Recyclables just aren't profitable anymore. And then I've asked, I think the most hot button topic here is the fire department. So it's the only department I think where I've got two reds, which are just, larger numbers. We've presented this before, we've gone over it. The only change that Paul and I made to the budget was we included a PPE line item for $15,600, and this is just for personal protective equipment when the first responders are going out dealing with blood and what have you.
What's a typical PPE type of equipment?
So Chief Ginther's here and could probably help answer that question.
Paul?
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so PPE is a combination of anything that we would wear on a scene for just that, for protection. So that would include our bunker gear that you commonly think of that we wear during structure fires or automobile accidents. That also includes wildland gear, which fortunately we don't have a great number of wildland incidents, but when we do, such as the large one that you had a couple of years ago, bunker gear is not appropriate PPE for that due to heat stress and due to the weight. So you have wildland gear. And then the third thing is for the first response members, you have jackets that are bloodborne pathogen resistant. Basically encompasses everything.
Okay.
Paul and I looked at his needs for new equipment, and so Paul and I have not seen a capital plan for the fire department. It might exist out there somewhere, but we haven't seen it. So what Paul and I did is we pulled together treasurer's report to see how much we had in there. If we've got to kick back buying a fire truck for another year because of this decision we've made, then so be it. But Paul and I think that next year we'd be able to buy the SCBA's that he needs, a light rescue vehicle, and a thermal camera using the reserves that'll be accumulated next year, FY25.
Whit, do you have a thermal camera?
We have one operating thermal camera at this time. We used to have 3.
I thought we had a bunch. I thought we had a couple of them.
Yeah, we have 3. 2 of the ones that we have are both obsolete and broken.
Okay.
One, I'm trying to find out if we can get replacement parts for. The second is completely unsupported and basically junk.
Now, when you say we, are you talking the fire department or between
That
the
is
fire and the police?
No, this is just for the fire department. Now, the police and KSAR, if they had a need on an incident for thermal imaging, then certainly they could use the existing.
Is Whit on?
Yeah, I think Whit is.
Whit, are you on? I can't see you now.
I'm on.
Did you, like 5 or 6 years ago, get grant money for thermal imaging or no?
No.
Okay, then that was the fire department.
And we're still going to look for grant money to cover these
I was
things.
just asking that.
And we didn't raise the appropriation
Right.
for capital expenses to cover this stuff.
So you're not gonna find a capital plan for fire trucks or whatever, because it was underneath the Sherburne Fire District, and they would keep that close to themselves and then just come to us.
Number though we were putting
You know,
into.
but they haven't done anything, because about 4 years ago, Paul, they started looking at the current building that we're in. So they were holding back from there, so you're not really gonna see much for that.
Right, and
Okay,
so there is a fire department capital,
Right.
220. We're planning on keeping that flat.
Right,
That would give us, if we kept that flat this year, it would give us enough money to get the SCBA's, get a new light rescue vehicle, and get the cameras.
and all I'll say, Paul and Whit, because I know you gave them the grant information, whatever, just because the money's there, let's please still try to get the grant,
Definitely.
Roger.
okay? So this is still just like, we're gonna come back, whatever. You wanna just run through the other red line? The salary and wages, Paul, what you're looking at?
Sure, so looking at that number of 425, that is taking our 3 existing shift officers, continuing them along with the 3% salary increase. I'm anticipating trying to bring on 3 new full-time firefighter EMTs. They will be brought in at a lower rate because they are not shift leaders. And then the remaining money would go towards being able to fund some per diem cost. With the per diem cost would be used for supplemental staffing during events such as World Cup. It would also be used for supplemental staffing in the case that one of the full-timers calls out sick, so that we do not incur overtime from another full-timer having to work. And it allows us also to staff. One of the things I'm trying to do next year is get Mark Foote into an advanced EMT class. So I envision using per diems to staff during his schedule conflicts for that.
Did we take a look at the idea that I think we were floating around on, like, this winter, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever?
I've extended the opportunity for anybody to spend the night at the station, not on a per diem status, basically just a continuance of their volunteer status. We have looked also at increasing the staffing with per diem. Still trying to get a handle on how much money we've got left for this current year that we can use towards per diems. And once I have that figured out, then I have an idea of what I can spend to add manpower. The
Okay.
ideal situation, though, would be not to have to pay somebody every single time they set foot in the fire station.
Right.
I'm still trying to rely on and recruit volunteer personnel.
Okay.
It is, just out of curiosity, Paul, what's our call volume been like for the past 60 days?
Last 60 days, stand by and I'll tell you. Right
Few-
now, we're
few
running an
major car
average of
accidents.
about 1 call per day. We've had we did have a period of 8 days where we had no calls, and then we've had 3 or 4 days where we've had multiple calls.
And
Again, when you average it out, it's 1 and a remainder.
Okay, and how does that compare to the same 60 days the previous year?
The previous 60 days, previous for this year or for,
So it's the previous year, so if we go back 60 days, you say it's 1 per day. What
Yeah.
were we doing a year ago at that same time period?
numbers I'm seeing looks that were slightly elevated, less than a run per day.
Okay.
But that was also because we didn't have the coverage.
Yeah.
They
I'm
weren't.
just,
Yeah,
it
no.
just seems to me like they are busier,
Oh, yeah,
and that's all I'm trying to just
yeah. They are,
look at, and that's all I'm trying to look at.
yeah. They are
It-
It
busier.
has definitely picked up.
You've had a
No
few,
doubt about it.
you've had a few major car accidents?
No question.
Yeah, we've had, just in the last month, we've had 2 major ones there on 4.
Right.
Yep,
All right.
good. So at some point, will we have a working session where we sit down,
Yeah,
print
this
it
is,
out and go through it?
We can.
Yeah.
what else you got there, buddy?
Road maintenance, you know, the new Public Works Director position, that's an increase from 0. But we were able to cut some from line striping for FY '24. The ones that are there now are holding up pretty well. Contract plowing is down 18,500, and then sand has gone up 10,000. It was 73,000 in FY '23. I think those are just about it for the
Can you
big.
scroll back up to the
Yep,
reds?
Yep.
Bigger red, the 94.
94 for that.
So the 94, and we keep on saying this, it's Public Works Director. This first year is going to also be working into the FEMA,
Yeah.
along with you on FEMA.
Mhm.
We are getting reimbursements from FEMA that will show on
Mhm.
the income side,
Mhm.
revenue side. And as we have said, we're moving forward with the water system, and this person will move over to that, and then we'll end up, so for this 1 year, I mean, she will be putting in quite a bit of time on FEMA.
Yeah, the fees will, her fees will be subsidized by FEMA, no doubt about that.
Right. So we're seeing an increase of that, but it's going to be a good offset
Hoping to
on
offset with some of that.
on the revenue side.
But we've
Okay.
also laid out a lot of
So,
money too.
yeah. Yeah. So can you just go, I mean, anyone like Kurt's listening or whatever in, or, because I was asked a question, like, has it been announced yet? And, you know, we announce it and announce it and announce it, but.
Oh, the new
but-
Public Works
Yeah,
Director?
yeah, so I
Oh,
know
yeah.
we've said it, but I don't, Kurt wasn't at one of the last 2 meetings or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
happening. So January 1st, Abby Sherman starts with the town. She was the the deputy town manager in Bethel, and she's been with the state for half a decade now, working in the BEPSI program. She held a water license. She's incredibly qualified for what we need. We don't need a working foreman. We need somebody that can guide us through TIF, guide us through FEMA, manage grants, help the finance director with reimbursements and understand the project, the water system, sewer system, keeping up with the operations and maintenance of the system. It's going to be a full-time.
She was with Bethel
gig.
for like 10 years.
I don't know how long she was
So
with
for a
Bethel.
while, and during Irene, and she was we had Mel Adams here,
Yeah.
and she did like $9 million worth of reimbursements for Irene for Bethel, and she did run the water plant. She wrote a lot of grants, Emily,
got a lot of finance
for recreation in Bethel.
When
And,
does she start?
January 1, like I just said, we say things a lot, but I could have sworn Michael said January 1 there, Kurt, of 2024. All right.
And, yeah, and again, we have a few bonds that are maturing this year. The highway, 1.4 interest bond, 140,000. So that helps us a little bit. Right now, we're looking at around a 5% increase in expenditures. However, we're not done yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, on the revenue side,
Sure.
when will you be to us what you think revenue will be?
I mean, right now, I've got I don't have FEMA included, but I also don't have FEMA as an expense.
Right.
So, last year, revenue was $1,660,700, and this coming year, I expect revenue to be $1,778,990. So there's an increase there. Some of
Right.
that comes from local option taxes, federal and state payments. We expect revenue for the rec to go up like we spoke about when Emily was on board. Yep, and that's
Okay.
about it.
Yeah. All right. Any questions, Eli, Kurt?
All right, what did you say?
Eli?
What did you say?
I say, any questions, Kurt?
No, thank you for asking.
Okay. Is Eli still on? I'm not hearing anything. Okay. Managers report?
I have a lot of repeats on here, but I also get a lot of questions on where the project, Killington Ford projects are, so it might be worth me saying out loud. Tree removal has begun for the road and water projects for Phase 1. This includes Anthony Way to Route 4, which is the road project, and the well house up to the storage tanks, which is the water project. Excavation for these projects will not start until spring. However, some blasting is now taking place along the waters project construction area, and they do hope to start laying some pipe in the next couple of weeks. The second and final projects inside of Phase 1 includes road and water projects inside and around the ski village. These plans are almost completed, which means they're almost 90% completed, and pending permit approvals, bids will go out for construction in the spring of 2024, and we don't expect anything to hold up that bid. Anybody have any questions about where the projects are at? So I know there's been tree removal happening, again, between Anthony Way and Route 4. That's all that's going to be happening until the spring. No sidewalks are going in,
No road blasting?
no road blasting,
No roads closed?
no roads closed, not for construction work anyway. And pretty much the same goes for the water project as well. There might be some pipe that's laid into the ground, but we won't see that happening from the road. Now that 60% of the plans are complete for Phase 1A, which is the road project around the ski village to the lookout, the town is working on easements and right-of-ways for the new infrastructure. All of this is laid out in the development agreement, so when I say we're working on easements, all I'm saying is we're laying out easements. And then that's kind of my update there for Killington Ford. We do plan to put something on the website so people can access it there. However, you can go to the website now under Killington Ford, and I believe the report that I gave to the Mountain Times a month and a half ago or so is still pretty relevant to where we're at with the projects. The town has submitted the first reimbursement request for the water project from the SRF, which is the State Revolving Loan Fund, which is a forgivable loan in the amount of $400,000. The original taxable value questions have been answered, and the state has received our second submittal of the certificate. I'm sorry if that's confusing. A lot of this TIF stuff is kind of confusing. At our last meeting, we talked about an original taxable value form, or OTV, and this is a form or a certificate that sets the tax value base rate. Everything above that is increment and goes towards the bond.
And that's only in the TIF district.
Yes. Wetland permits for the area in and around the well site have been submitted to the state. We're still working on them to finalize that submittal, but it's just a small change, an email that we got today. The Killington Ford section of the website has been updated and includes 2 new graphics that explain the scope and the project funding schedule. And the contract between the Chamber of Economic Development of the Rutland region and the town has been fully executed for the Catalyst Grant. The total grant award for Catalyst was $3 million, which includes the road and water projects. And Cedar, which is also what the chamber's called, will receive $60,000 to serve as the administrative review team, and it was a requirement of Catalyst to have an LDD, and that $60,000 was a set rate in that contract. It wasn't negotiable.
It's 5%.
Negotiable, yeah. Before I move on, does anybody have any Killington Forward questions?
Nope.
All right, good deal. All right, Town Hall, I actually spoke to the architect today. We're just waiting on a structural engineer for the vault, but we do have some contractors lined up for the project. So we're hoping to have those bids out for solicitation soon. There's a new propane tank being installed for the town's portion of the building. That'll be done on December 13th. And we're landlords now, so we're working with the post office to address some long-standing maintenance concerns, but nothing too heavy. And the town has solicited work for snow removal. We did that earlier in the meeting, and the contract has been approved. Again, we're still aiming to be in the building this summer, early fall. The Recreation Department, with the help of planning, we're in the general government operations here. The Rec Department, with the help of planning, are putting together a VOREC grant that was approved tonight. Transportation Alternative Scoping Study was held and well attended. The engineers will review the public feedback and submit a plan for future development. That was the scoping study meeting we had here on December 5th. That was hosted by VHB and our planner, Lisa Davis-Lewis. Of course, budget season's in full swing, takes up a good bit of time working with the department heads to get that information in line, ready for board review. Speed limit signs along Killington Road and River Road have been changed to reflect the new legal speed limits. We've also purchased signs with fire trucks to warn drivers of the public safety building's location and have replaced improperly worn weight limit signs along West Hill. Let me elaborate on that a little bit more. Looking at our traffic ordinance, some of the weight limit signs that we had did not match what they were supposed to be. So Ricky went around and changed some of those. We also got some feedback on the size of the signs, of the 30-mile-per-hour signs that we put on the access road, saying they were too small. So what Ricky and I are looking at is getting bigger ones and then maybe using the small ones that we use along here on East Mountain.
Okay,
But he's getting me some pricing for that.
great.
And I also really want, I really want speed limit signs on the radar signs that are existing here. I don't like seeing radar signs without a speed limit sign on top of it, so. Lucretia, Linda, and I are working on a website redesign. We've sat with the web designers, and they actually sent us an email today. What's going to be really cool about the website going forward is not only will it look nicer, but there will be a portal where you can submit a concern, a complaint, feedback, assign it to a department, and it'll go to that department's email
A
address.
thumbs up?
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Oh, we like that?
Not just complaints.
Yeah, complaints, yeah, feedback, good job, guys.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, and I spoke about this earlier when we were doing the golf course stuff. Auctions International are here putting together bids for stolen and unrecovered property that was seized by the police department. Grow lights back there if anybody needs them, bunch of them. They're also listing a truck from the town garage. The really neat thing about this company is if we don't have to award the bid. If the bid is not what we want, if we think we can get better trade-in value, we cannot accept it. And then,
Well, before we go on, the speed limit signs, we've warned it.
yeah,
We have it on the signs. We put it on the big sign out front here. We put it down at the road. There's a lot of complaints, but Whit, since you're still on, don't you still have people doing over 50 miles an hour on the Killington Road?
Yeah, I did 11 traffic stops in 2 hours, wrote 7 tickets, all of which were 50 plus, 57, 58.
So, when people say that, the board changed the speed limit. I mean, it's,
Well,
you know, we do not count it as revenue. But when someone's speeding, the police are out there. You may not see them all the time, but they've always been given tickets out. We're not a town like some others that count on it for revenue. We're looking for safety.
that's why we lowered the speed limit in the first
Yeah,
place.
so,
Yes, slower speeds save lives. There's no getting around
right,
that.
and it's really, with the traffic that's coming around and people popping out of parking lots,
Mhm.
you know, if you were doing, if it was 35 before and whatever, I could do 40, 45, well, hopefully you keep on doing that. I'm not approving it, but, you know, if it's 30
More
and
possible.
whatever, it's just, you know, we don't want to become like Route 4.
Nope.
And lastly, FEMA representatives and I meet weekly now. Damage reports are in, and now I'm filling out EEIs. I don't know what EEI stands for. I haven't had time to look at the forms yet, but it's probably going to be a lot of work. So Abby can't start soon enough. And that concludes my manager's report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great.
We're back to citizens' input. It's only you guys that are on. Kurt?
Nope, I got nothing, thank you.
All right, other business? What did we say we were gonna do underneath other business? We said we were gonna do the next meeting or whatever, and it can't be January 8th. So, there's a lot of people, there were 12 liquor licenses, so let's try to get a hold
We have
of,
to do 12 licenses.
there was supposed to be 12 liquor licenses tonight. So, I would say that I'll get a hold of Steve tomorrow, see how he's doing, and see
Okay.
if we can schedule something during working hours
Yeah, we
this
could-
week to punch it out.
And do the budget, working session on the
You
budget
know,
too.
well, we'll see,
Two
but,
birds in one stone kind
you
of
know,
deal?
Okay, so,
Okay.
but I know a couple of them need them for this weekend, so, of the liquor licenses. I mean, they've been in, they're just waiting for today's meeting, and unfortunately, we don't have a quorum for it.
So our next regular meeting
Is the 25th.
probably won't work for us.
Yeah,
Neither will January 1.
Mm-mm.
Neither does January 8th.
right.
So we've got probably should schedule something off schedule.
Yeah, the 10th is, January 10th, I believe, or is it the 13th? The Planning Commission has zoning.
Well, we want
Uh,
to, so if we want to do a working session for the budget, I mean, we could slam that in somewhere in the middle of the week, hold a special meeting and,
Right,
well, up to the board, but
yeah.
So you just want, I mean,
I just got to get a hold of, it's legal to get a hold of other members, you know, for a meeting. So
Yes.
I'll give Steve a call tomorrow, check up on him, and then ask him what his schedule is for the rest of the week.
okay.
But as far as a regular meeting,
Well, we're really messed up because then we go.
All
to
these
January,
holidays.
The 15th is a holiday.
what's the problem with the 8th again?
We told the rec.
the rec department.
Mhm.
We could do the 9th,
It's fine by me.
okay?
Good with me.
So January 9th. It's a Tuesday night instead of a Monday. Since we made a promise to Emily,
Yeah,
okay?
can't break that.
No, it'd be good, it'd be good to meet with them.
Mhm. Got it.
All right, and then the next one after that would be the 22nd anyway, right?
Mhm. Yep,
So that works.
yep.
Okay. Any other business?
No.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session at 7:55 with Great Life Golf for contracts. All in favor? Aye.